And now I introduce our next speaker, which is Jeff Shragge from University of Western Australia. Jeff, which is Canadian, that's correct. Former graduate of Stanford, PhD in geophysics. And he's currently an associate professor at the University of Western Australia in Perth, where he started his academic career in 2009. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Filippo, and thanks for the invitation to come and speak with you today. I think groups like this are very, very important to your career. It's good to network with your peers, and as you meet more and more people, each year if you meet 20, 30 new people after a decade, you have an entire sort of family of 300 people that you can discuss things at conferences like this. And I've been going to conferences, I think, since about 2002, and I've built up a very large network. So I guess emphasizing Filippo's last remarks. So my role here is to introduce another question that is to be discussed in the next part of this discussion. And I'm sort of the token academic of the speakers here, and so my question is focusing around academia. But it's an interesting one. I'm calling it Geophysics 2025. Is academia adequately preparing the geoscientists of tomorrow? It's an interesting question that I think sometimes in academia we get really into our research or our services or our teaching and learning, and we don't actually step back and evaluate whether we're doing some of the core research training that's really important for getting people the best chance for success throughout their career. So to give you another little bit of a biography like our other speakers here, here's a brief sort of history of where I've been. In this case, it's largely focused on the academia institutions that I've been in, largely because of the focus of this brief presentation. But I did a bachelor's degree in physics at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. I then went to the University of British Columbia, where I did a master's degree in earthquake seismology. In between that and the next place, I worked in Boston, Massachusetts in the near-surface environmental and engineering field for a couple years. Then found I really sort of liked the imaging component of what I was doing and went on to the Stanford Exploration Project and graduated there in 2009 and was recruited down to the University of Western Australia, and just a few snapshots of what it looks like down there. It's not all a desert with kangaroos in the outback. It's actually a very modern, cosmopolitan country most of the time. So I like presenting in terms of academia in our roles and responsibilities in this Venn diagram. I'm sure many of you have seen diagrams like this. It's basically showing the overlap of different components in terms of how the whole is represented. So as I mentioned, there's sort of the three sort of key roles and responsibilities that we have in academia. Of course, there's the research. These are the, getting the grants, publishing yourself, both with students. There's the teaching and learning component where we have our undergraduate classes, our graduate classes, and then we have our service elements, and that's serving on committees, representing the university at government level, and also within sort of organizations like the EAGE. So in terms of assessing how we're doing as academics, we actually have pretty good things for assessing research by itself. You can go to Google Scholar and look at your citation counts and your impact factor and all those sorts of things, so we can judge how we're doing with respect to our peers, both individually and as institutions. In teaching and learning, we have teaching scores, student feedback, and all those sorts of things which can be collated and used to improve your teaching and learning. But what I think we're not really good at doing is getting feedback on the intersection of research and teaching and learning. And where that is, that's really your research skills. Basically, teaching you to how to do research. We don't really capture very good feedback on that. And probably most of you are in the middle of or towards the end or have just finished an academic degree where you've been undergoing an intensive 3 to 5 year process that it requires you to do a lot of research training and skill building in that space. I know that when you go on to the corporate world, if that's where you choose to go, there's a lot of other skill building opportunities there, but the real core fundamental ones that you learn are learned and taught in university. So it's a very important part of your career. So in terms of thinking of this and posing this as a question, so you as a young professional, I think it's pretty judicious to be forward thinking about what exploration geophysics, if that's what we're all here in the field, what it's going to look like when you're in your mid-career 10 years from now. And it's always good to identify opportunities that will help you be ahead of the curve. As an academic on our side, we really should be better at ensuring that we are equipping our graduates with the skills to address tomorrow's geophysical and exploration challenges. And really that requires both continual self-assessment, but also feedback from yourselves as young professionals who have gone through this system, but also industry professionals and sort of giving us information on how we're doing. Now, I had a couple days in Salzburg enjoying that, and after that kind of relaxing, I had a chance to take the train down at a kind of a big picture brainstorming thing in terms of what would some of the challenges be. And so I just, for 5 minutes, kind of timed myself and just wrote down a whole bunch of, sort of in a word cloud, what do I think some of the interesting challenges are going to be in 2025. And I'm just going to flick this up for about 10 seconds to give you kind of an idea of what's going on. I'm a computational seismologist, so everything is somewhat flavored by this. So flipping on like that, you probably caught a few things there. But I think these are some of the challenges that I've seen on the horizon that are starting to emerge. And so what I'd be interested in sort of workshopping with a number of you in the audience today there is, looking forward in 2025, what will the key exploration geophysics challenges be? Second point is, given we have these, is academia adequately preparing the geoscientists of tomorrow for these challenges? And what more should academia be doing? And then finally, we have a great organization here in EAGE that are very good at facilitating things. So in this particular question, what sort of other supporting roles can organizations like EAGE play? So with that, I thank you for your attention, and I'm looking forward to having a very interesting discussion session in a few minutes. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. We'll now check the results for the fourth question, I believe. Yes. So what are your career aspirations? And nobody want to be an executive? Interesting. We have a winner, which is technical specialist, 39%, and with general leadership. And then, we have technical generalist and technical leader. Good. I don't think there is really much to comment on this, unless someone wants to say anything. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Always time for comments.
That's great. All right, thanks a lot. Well, having seen these very interesting and also diverse talks, I'd like to add a few things from my own experience. So Michael indicated, like, be eager, be the best at what you can get, and I think that's a very good motivating thing. But it's also important, especially for academia, for example. Filippo also mentioned you get a lot on your plate, right? So in companies, that's probably the same thing. So it's, in my belief, very important to also actually finalize those projects that you are adding on your plate and not just leave them around, because if you don't write down or if you don't communicate within the company what you achieved, it's not going to be visible. So you did a lot of work, you've been overloaded with work, but nobody's ever going to recognize it. So I think also finalize the projects you have so that you can move on, build upon that. That's something to always keep in mind. Yeah, and another question, I think the conservative aspect that has been mentioned by the companies. I think in whatever you do, also academic research, always keep that in mind. So whenever you have a novel technology that you believe can solve all the possible challenges in the future, really make the comparison with what is the standard at the present in the companies. What do people use? What does the data processing team use? And how can your technology actually do better than that? And because those people need to believe in it. If you have a very interesting talk, also here, but the audience doesn't believe in it, the established companies don't believe in it, forget about it. They will forget it tomorrow, and it's not going to make the impact you desire. So I would advise you to all keep that in mind in whatever you do. So.
Thank you, Niels. So if we could show the next questions, and then we break into groups. So where do you see yourself 3 years from now? Energy industry, other industry, academia, or graduate school? So it's the next questions. Good. So we are done with the classic part of the session, which is the talk. So what I will ask you now is already see. So if Linda or Max could migrate to a different table, one of you two. So we already have Jeff there, Michelle there, and then so what I'll ask you to do, audience, is to move to a table where like one of the 4 speakers are located, and then the speaker itself themselves will lead you in a discussion. I don't see enough people standing up. Everyone has to, or we'll come to get you. So we'll have 20 minutes of brainstorming. Then I will go around table, and then we'll find for each group will present the outcome of the session. And please can you also ask to divide yourself evenly, not to overwhelm anyone. Okay, thank you.